it on?
Yep, we are live. But we'll wait. Give a chance for some people to come in.
This is the first live one I've done with you.
Yes.
Kind of fun.
Yeah. So that's our viewer count up top. So we'll give them a little bit to come in. And in the meantime, we'll just go through some of our notes here. But so we got people coming into the chat right now.
That's kind of fun.
So hey guys,
Mm-hmm.
thanks for joining us. We got we'll give everybody just a few minutes to come in here, so we'll have a little bit of a dead air for a second. But Mrs. Ironside is joining us today. So
hi everyone. It's kind of fun, Mrs. Ironside.
And we're avoiding the coronavirus right now.
Staying hydrated. It's really hot outside. Got to stay hydrated. How come you're not sharing? Thank you.
Okay. So I guess we'll go ahead and get started. We'll let people kind of roll in, and I don't want too much dead air at the beginning of this. So we have a list of things that we want to talk about today. But the first thing is that we ran into a couple of videos here lately on YouTube, and it kind of sparked our interest to talk about this. But right now is not the time to be in a bunch of fear and a bunch of panic. Now is the time to make some calculated decisions to try to get ahead of all this. And we know that the inflation is going to get worse. So we know that the stock market is probably going to get worse. Hey, Roxanne, thanks for joining us. I forgot you're in Nampa, Idaho. Yeah, because I grew up in Weiser.
Yeah.
That's I forgot about that. I think you told me that once in the past. Okay, so but don't panic.
You don't make good decisions when you panic.
Yeah, and so right now is the time to be still tackling those debts, paying off those bad debts, so credit cards and car loans, things on depreciating assets, and for us, we've gone to doing minimum payments on our mortgage because we're going to kind of let the inflation eat away our mortgage. Yeah, Weezer. So, but anyways, we're gonna let the inflation kind of eat away our mortgage a little bit, and there's just better things for us to be putting that money into right now. And so for the last couple of years, we've been paying substantially more on it, but as it is right now, we're backing off and putting that money into gold, silver, or cryptocurrencies. And I know we're seeing the crypto market crash like crazy right now, which is exactly the time where you should be buying it as it's going down, unless you don't believe that it's going to be going back up, in which case that's a different equation. Thank you. Yeah, no, happy Father's Day to any of the fathers out there as well. And from Georgia, we got somebody close to us. We but a couple hours from Atlanta here. Hey, Mary, good to see you. Okay, so but one of the things that you can be doing right now that will regardless pretty much of how much money you have, right, as long as you have enough money to actually get to the store, is buying up canned foods and getting stuff on those shelves and getting your food in order. And Amanda Lynn, she goes to Winn-Dixie and she buys food all the time for Winn-Dixie. And we don't buy everything there because Winn-Dixie can be kind of expensive, but she sees these sales on canned foods all the time. And they're nobody's buying them, nobody's getting them. Thanks, Mary. Happy Father's Day to you and yours at home too. But so she sees these sales there, where it's like 5 cans for $4 or whatever, and they're always full. There's always a ton of cans here. It's never what they're out of. So
yeah, I never see people buying them, and I'm here grabbing 5 cans of corn and green beans and tomato sauce. It's great. So they've been having these sales for the past 2 months. I've been watching them. So head down to Winn-Dixie and pick up your canned green beans and corn and tomato sauce.
Yeah, for us, our local Winn-Dixie restocks meat on Sunday nights, and so all the old inventory gets sold out. So we used to, before we were producing our own meat, we used to go there on Sunday nights when we take the kids to church, and you go get T-bone steaks for like a pack of 4 for like they're like $5.
Yeah, they're on sale right now. Not the T-bones, but shrimp. I got 4 bags. They were buy one, get one free. So for Father's Day, we're going to do shrimp and grits tonight. So instead of 2 bags for the same price, I got 4.
Yeah. So just shopping those sales locally when you can. And like we talked about getting in the last videos, getting with farmers and stuff. So Somebody, I am not your kind, said I stock up on beef sales at Kroger. All my
Yeah.
freezers are full, and I'm still buying
Good job.
more. Yeah, absolutely. So,
Walmart, yeah, Walmart's a great place to get canned goods too.
and y'all should be looking at ideas of what to do with the power outages and what to do with the food stuff. But we'll get to the power outages here in a little bit. But y'all should be looking at ideas on how to preserve that food, whether it's drying or actually we're going to do some salted pork this year because salted pork will cure for about a year. And so we're actually going to try that this year. It's kind of an old-fashioned way of doing it. We've never done the salt pork before. So when our hogs go to butcher in November, and when we get them back, we're gonna salt probably a 5-gallon bucket full of it and just see what it does, see how it works in cooking. But
18th century style preserving.
Yeah. Anyways, so going and getting those sales, going and shopping those, take advantage of what other people are not taking advantage of right now. But right now, food is beating the stock market as far as the inflation goes and the prices of food, and that's only going to get worse next year. 2023 will have pretty high grain prices, I think. So it'll be really interesting to see what comes next year. But we've talked about this in other videos with all the fertilizer shortages and the fuel shortages and the diesel issues. All that stuff comes to affect us next year on the food side of things because everything that's being harvested right now is not being harvested to use right now. It's being harvested and grown to use for next year. So. So I think you're going to see pretty drastic increases towards the end of this year and next year. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Eric. Yeah, it is a nice shirt. So we'll just show the top of it. Let's go.
Yeah. Don't
y'all
want the
can
video to get censored.
Y'all can figure out what the bottom says.
Pet food. Roxanne was talking about pet food. Yeah, there have been some big shortages of pet food. We've gone to making some of our pet food just to help it stretch a little bit. But we have our offal from our cows and pigs and stuff, so we have a little advantage there.
Yeah, so we none of us really care that much for the offal. I mean, we'll eat it in a pinch, but there's none of us that. I mean, I like liver and onions, okay, but
the heart,
the hearts, the tongues, Madeline doesn't really much care for. So what we end up doing is running that through a meat grinder, and then that goes to our dogs. And there's tons of recipes out there. So so pet food. Stocking up on things for your livestock. So if you have any chickens and the cattle and everything, making sure that you've got food to get them through. Now, a lot of those animals will do okay if they don't have the food, but they'll obviously perform better. So, pigs can be free range, but they need a lot of land to do it. And they'll get pretty mean and aggressive because they'll turn more wild. And then animals, the chickens can free range, but your egg production will go down pretty drastically. So you need a lot more chickens.
We like to do both.
We do
free
both,
range, and we give them non-GMO feed.
Yep. So I am not your kind, said smoked meats and freeze them isn't a bad idea. Canning and preserving are a long-term storage idea for, I'm assuming you mean SHTF, but SHYF planners. Love your channel. Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate you watching. So the smoked meats are great. And I don't know enough about the longevity of smoked meats. I've only ever done it for kind of short-term use. But smoked meats and canning, all those are great. So we like to can meat because it's really convenient to have it handy, and it tenderizes, especially for the grass fed. So those are great ideas. We're going to be building a smoker here on the farm in the next year or two, and we'll go over that with y'all. We
did peaches yesterday. We canned a whole bunch of peaches over the last 2 days, actually. It's peach season here in Alabama, so you can pick up a huge box for $35. And then, spend a couple hours canning, and it's great for the winter. Yeah.
We've been canning pizza for the last 2 days. How's the orchard doing? Well, it's we haven't got any fruit yet. Most of that, because a lot of that was planted or replanted this year. So we picked all the blossoms off and everything. We're trying to put the energy down into the roots this year, Mary. So we won't have anything on the orchard probably until next year, and even then it'll be mild because we're going to continue picking the blossoms off and picking the fruit off. We really want to get the roots established well. So we won't have much on the orchard for probably about 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay, so somebody said, I recently learned how to clean a heart into nice steaks with no gristle, and it's actually great eating. The Meat Eater has a good video on how to break it down. So if you're curious about that, we might have to go check that out. I don't mind the hearts, but Madeline's just not crazy about them. And then part of it, I think that you just can't.
I didn't grow up on a farm, or I was a city girl, so all of this is brand new for me. I'd never had a chicken heart. I've never butchered a chicken. I'd seen cows before, but but I hadn't actually touched a cow
Yeah.
or anything. So I'm learning, and a lot of these are new experiences for me. So it's been interesting and fun.
So Roxanne said that she bought a peach and pear tree this year, and yeah, I
Yay!
think
Great.
good for you.
Yeah.
That's awesome. We have 3 pear trees that we are fully grown. They were so overgrown we didn't even know we had them on the property
Yeah.
when we bought it, but we don't ever.
We're not big
Mm-mm.
pear connoisseurs, so
No, I like those ones, but yeah, we just never been that big on
mm,
pears. But it is definitely right now. You just need ways to get the nutrients and the vitamins
mhm.
without going to the store. So we might become more pear
Yeah,
connoisseurs.
we
But
might can some pears
uh,
and eat them.
I hate letting food go to waste.
Yeah,
They
we
are
got
good for the pigs.
that. Yeah, they are. The livestock does like them. We did pick up an olive tree this year, and hopefully we can get another one. I'm kind of excited to see how that does too.
Yeah, that'll be
Make our
fun.
own olive oil and
Yeah, that'll
fresh
be a lot of
olives. Yeah,
fun.
that'll be really neat.
So, bottom line is that
Yay
you
for
need to be
city
working.
girls.
So,
Thank you, Roxanne.
like what we've talked about on like the food prep side of things, right? So you're going from 0 to 30 days. So that's your like, hey, this is kind of what I eat at the grocery store. 30 days to 6 months, 6 months to a year, and working that out. And then from a year to infinity is kind of the ultimate goal, right? So that we're restocking ourselves. And obviously that's going to vary some degrees. If you're living in a subdivision, you're not going to have as much of a degree on that as if you have a 30-acre farm or whatever. But
Mhm.
the goal is to get into where you can restock as much as you can. Um, yeah, I'm trying to read the comments as they come in, guys.
Oh, having chicken stock. Yeah, the chicken stock,
Mhm,
beef stock. Oh, yeah, that's great for when you're doing your canning, anyways. Um, to do that at the same time.
mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
Oh, and the olive trees are beautiful. You're right, Mary. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's a great way when you get when you get your cows and your pigs back from the butcher. Like a lot of the butchers, they'll throw out the lard, the offal, and the bones because most people don't want them. And so,
We
and
love those.
all those
Yeah.
things are great. We use lard pretty much exclusively for cooking now. But the bones, you can boil those down and do bone stock out of them,
Mhm.
and that's a really good option. And then once the bones are broken down through that, you can actually you can grind them, or you can just bury them straight to your gardens and stuff, and they'll decompose over time, and
Mhm.
it kind of continue to add nutrients. And I believe
Mhm.
it's mostly calcium that's left in it,
Mhm.
but
We were making a Father's Day pies today, and so our daughter made the crust, and she was looking at the recipe, and it called for Crisco. And I'm like, no, 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 sweetie, we're not using Crisco.
mhm.
We used our pig lard, and oh man, those
Yeah,
crusts look.
pig lard is better.
Yeah, it is awesome.
Pig lards are much better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's much healthier for you, and it cooks better.
Mhm.
Okay, so Derek from Texas, how's the home inspection biz been in your area? Or biz in your area been impacted recently? Sorry, I can't read. I'm an inspector in Dallas Fort Worth and haven't even gotten a call in 2 weeks. Ouch, but that
Oh,
hurts. I feel for you.
so sorry.
I don't know how long you've been in business, Derek, but uh, we've been in business here long enough that we don't go through areas where it's quite that dead anymore. We used to. I think everybody's gone
Mhm.
through that, and
Mhm.
especially if you're a one man band, it's a lot harder to keep that regular flow of business coming in.
Mhm.
But it's hurting here just like it is everywhere else. We've definitely been slower the last 2 weeks, but then
Yeah.
over the last couple of days, it just it's feast or famine in this industry. So it picked back up, and now everybody worked this weekend, and I had to work yesterday, and
Yeah. Well, and I do all the scheduling, and it used to be last year I'd book out, 7, 8 days in advance, and now it's more like 2 to 3 days
hmm
that where we're booked. So we have today's Sunday. We had inspections today. I've got Monday and Tuesday booked, and not much for the rest of the week.
yeah.
So it has slowed down, but I should get a bunch of calls
But
tomorrow.
you gotta realize, Derek, we're a multi-inspector firm, so a week of no sales would be catastrophic at that point in time
Yeah.
because we absolutely have to have that revenue to make payroll and taxes and everything.
Yeah.
So we're playing a little bit different game. And I assume that you're a single inspector firm. I don't know that for a fact. So if you want to post that in there,
Yeah. Keep us updated.
but anyway, so with being a multi-inspector firm, a week that would be scary would be one that has like 10 or 15 inspections on
Yeah.
the calendar for us.
Yeah.
Really, we want to see
Every inspector working.
we want every inspector doing at least one inspection a day. That's kind of our goal, and then now we're actually expanding down to Prattville, Montgomery market because
Mhm.
we found an inspector for that area. So we'll be growing from here, but. But anyways, everybody in real estate is seeing somewhat of a
Yeah.
slowdown. It's going to continue to get worse. Okay, so you are a multi-inspector firm, 2 inspectors, and you're working on expanding. Thankfully, have a few
Great,
side
great.
hustles. Um, so yeah, two inspectors. Back when we had just 2 inspectors
Yeah.
too, I remember that it was just me and my business partner, and we would still have times where I don't think we ever went 2 weeks without a call. Not since I was by myself, but we
Where you might only be
certainly
doing
had some times where we
yeah.
had 1 or 2 calls a week, and it was a little bit
Yeah.
scary. So
Yeah.
I definitely feel for you. That's a frustrating position to be in, especially if you're doing good work and you know that you're doing quality jobs, and you just need people to call you.
Keep marketing to those realtors.
Yeah, keep hitting them up. If you're working in a referral business like that, then your best money is always just buying realtors coffee. That's what I tell everybody that comes and joins on with us. It's like, you can do everything that you want to do, but your best money is spent just buying coffee for a realtor.
Get those one-on-one time
Yeah,
together.
yeah. So
That's how we met. He was my inspector before we were married.
yeah,
Yeah. Just
yeah. Okay, so let's kind of move on. So we talked about food. I don't want to get sidetracked on the inspection stuff too much, Derek. So if you have any questions or anything you want to talk about, Derek, you can email us and Ironside Ranch LLC at gmail.com is the best email to reach us at. But so if you want to talk about home inspection stuff, just email me there. I'm happy to discuss with you what we're seeing down here. But most of the people on this probably aren't that interested in it. So I want to try to keep it light on that. But anyway, so
shortages.
oh yeah, thanks, Helen. Helen said, please hit the like button. So yeah,
yes.
Y'all, if you're watching now, please hit the like. I'm assuming everybody here is subscribed, but definitely hit the like and share. Being a home inspector is a good way to find a wife. Yeah. Survival trucker. Hey bud, welcome to the chat. Okay, so let's move on. We talked about the canned food shortages and everything like that, or canned food being a good way to get ahead of some of these food shortages. I mean, feminine products.
Yeah, so I can talk about that. All right, for all the ladies, feminine products are really important, and normally I didn't really worry about it too much, but there's a massive shortage going on right now, and even Amazon is you can only order like 4 or 5 boxes at a time, so we're trying to get stocked up. And I know the tampons are back ordered. They're not even expected to arrive for 2 months. Walmart prices, they've gone sky high, and the options available are limited.
So y'all need to be looking at, okay, so right now your focus should be on like, I want to get 3 months supply on hand.
Yeah.
And then once you get that 3 month supply, you've got a little bit of breathing room. So if you don't have that, that's where you want to be with your, all your toiletries, not just feminine.
We're doing toothpaste,
deodorant, everything.
Shampoo.
Yeah. All that stuff that you need. So look at 3 month supply, and then from there start building that 3 months to a year. So kind of calculate it out and just keep buying a little bit at a time. Again, we don't want to be part of the problem and buying a bunch all at once, but we certainly want to get our stuff in too. So we don't want to be worrying about it. So
we have an almost teenage daughter, so some of this stuff is really important just to kind of have on hand as her needs change too.
Yeah.
So
don't forget things like the razors, and you're definitely gonna want all that stuff. So luckily I do the straight razor.
Yeah, he's got
so helps.
But yeah, not me. I need a razor.
But anyway, so just don't forget what all you need. Soaps, bar soap does seem to go a little bit further.
Yeah,
realize that you can wash your hair with regular bar soap. It's the same thing. It just doesn't have
We've been doing
in
that in the last few weeks.
Yeah,
with bar soap.
So, well, I've always done it, but women are different, guys. So it's a different set of rules. But but anyway, so just making sure that you have all that stuff on hand: your conditioner, your soaps, razors. So start building for 3 months if you don't have that, and then once you hit 3 months, then start looking past that 3 months to 1 year. Oh, great point. I'm not your kind. Said maintain your septic tank. Also, yes. Great time to get your septic tank pumped and have it all inspected and make sure that there's no issues. So a lot of us that are way out in the country, off grid, whatever. You guys got septic tanks. That is an excellent point.
That's a great point.
Now is a great time to make sure you have that checked out. Now, properly functioning septic tank really doesn't need much maintenance. And if you keep things cut above it, so you don't have tree roots going into your leach field, have it pumped, before you move into the house, that sort of thing.
Have
So
that
that way you can
inspected.
control what goes down there. But kids have a tendency of throwing, Green Army men and stuff down there, so especially if you got kids, tend to have.
Our 2-year-old threw a piece of plastic in the toilet yesterday.
Yeah.
So
So,
thankfully I saw it.
but luckily, most of the kids, I kind of told them from day one that like nothing goes down there that doesn't come out of you. But
Or the toilet paper.
yeah,
Yeah.
so we've been pretty strict about that. But yeah, things like dental floss and stuff like that have no business down there, and that'll screw up your septic tanks
Or
real good. So
Q-tips.
yeah, maintaining your septic tanks, maintaining your wells right now. So if you're on a well, you all know we're getting ours installed, so we'll have videos going on about that. But making sure that you've got, even a spare well pump is not a bad idea right now. And it doesn't have to be as high. So if you're on need like a 1.5 horsepower pump to run your household and your farm and everything, a half horsepower pump is not that expensive as a backup, and you can drop it down there while you're waiting for a new pump to come in, because it might be 6 months before a new pump can come in with the shortage that we're seeing. So we're going to be doing that too. We're going to be getting a spare one.
Yeah.
And we'll just buy the spare 1.5 horsepower is what we need to run ours, and we'll just buy a spare one like that.
So
it is a little bit more expensive, but they don't. It's not like they really go bad as long as they're kept dry and kept
Stored
free
right.
of pests. Yeah. So there's just nothing that really tends to go wrong with them over time. So definitely look at that, keeping spare plumbing supplies on hand, stuff that can fix the drain lines and the supply line leaks and things like that. So having a little bit of know-how. Let's see. Helen went to a birthday dinner, gave the hostess 20 pounds of fresh picked veggies. The birthday
Wow.
boy got 3 suture kits.
kits.
Ooh, cool.
Yeah, that's a great
Yeah,
idea.
the suture kits. So
Yeah.
Goshen Prepping, he did something on the suture kits the other day. He was talking about those. They're trying to move them up in the medical supply world to where they'll become a restricted item. So right now you can only buy the training kits, and he was saying that you need to be buying those now, because in the future you're not even going to be able to get the training kits. So ridiculous grab for more control. Grab an extra oil filter, a few bottles of oil for your vehicles. Yep, keep them topped off. Any suggestions on where to store a couple extra gallons of gas? Okay, so gas is always kind of a funny thing, because diesel stores a lot better than gas. Diesel can pretty much be left in a tank, and a lot of people add stable to it, but we store diesel here, and we never add stable to it. You add a biocide to it, because diesel will actually grow a bacteria in there that'll start breaking it down and clogging filters. But diesel is a lot easier to store long-term. Gas, as the gas is off, it gels over time. You can add stable to it. Gas really at a maximum should be stored for about 2 years. But even that would be pretty lengthy. I'd be cycling through it a little bit more regularly. So you can store it in 5-gallon cans, which is basically what we do. We have just enough on hand to run the generator.
We keep ours color-coded. We have some that are for gasoline and some are for diesel.
Well, yeah, everybody says that.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, gas tanks are color coded.
Okay.
So diesel's yellow,
Big
kerosene's
yellow.
blue, and gasoline's red. So yeah, that's not just us.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
Okay. City girl, I'm just saying. I'm learning all this too.
But yeah, I keep a spare parts bin basically that has oil filters, air filters, stuff like that. So basically, what you do is when you do your next oil change or whatever, buy a spare oil filter on hand, and you keep that there. And then that's the one that you rotate through. So next time you need an oil change or whatever, you put that oil filter on, and you order a new one to replace it.
Do you do that with the tractor too?
Yeah, I do that with all of them. Everything but the company vehicles, because the company vehicles, our mechanic keeps spare stuff on hand for us. So, so those ones I don't worry about. But yeah, for all of our personal vehicles, we do. Okay, so feminine products, we talked about that. Okay, ammo shortage coming. Okay, so the ammo shortage is going to come for a couple reasons. The ammo shortages always come when we see politicians trying to push this, which we know they're going to do before November. They always have to, because it's a way that they can kind of fire up their base by pushing this. So ammo shortages always come when the politicians start pushing this, and the closer it looks like to us getting that, the more of an ammo shortage we're going to have. Same thing with normal capacity magazines, like 30 round, 15, 20 round magazines. That'll happen with those. It'll happen with the ARs. There's always going to be shortages on that stuff whenever they push those. But the other thing is that we're seeing the IRS apparently buying up a bunch of ammo. And for those of you wondering, it's because the IRS has SWAT teams in their own police force and everything. So
which is a bit ridiculous.
Which is ridiculous, yeah. But
that's the government.
They're buying up some ammo. The government buys up a lot of ammo, and they do this. They do it. They say for training, but they have a bunch stockpiled, and they don't use that much for training. It's not for military guys. They'll use a lot for training, but I've worked with guys from Department of Homeland Defense. I've worked with people, Border Patrol when I was in the Army, and most of those guys just don't have that much time to do that much training because they're doing their job so much that really the only training that they're going to get is they're going to go qual twice a year. Or whatever the requirements are. So I'm just not buying that they're using that much ammo. I'm buying more that is being stored. So ammo, weapon parts, stuff like that, you need to be looking at right now. Okay, so the next cool one, you want to talk about that?
Sure. There was a new plant up in Canada that is mass producing crickets for us because we all love to eat crickets, and that is supposedly the new superfood coming to you at your local grocery store and restaurant.
Yeah,
like a lot, 900,000, I don't know, metric tons or something like that. It's crazy the amount of crickets that
and
they're trying
especially
to make
for
for
our
us.
environment, because I get it, different cultures put more emphasis on eating insects than we do, but the fact that they're able to do that for Canada and North America
Yeah,
still seems a
they're
little
marketing
odd.
just to Canada and us here in
So I
America.
guess maybe this is the first step to start making it palatable, so that maybe people will want it. I'm not eating bugs, and
No
yeah,
crickets. I'm good.
we're in a survival situation and lost in the woods, and I have to. That's a different story. But I'm not eating bugs. I'm good. So
Yes, chicks. Thank you, Helen. Yeah, feed it to your chicks.
yeah,
Absolutely.
all that stuff
Yeah,
is great for chickens, for
livestock.
livestock.
Yeah. Go fishing with them or fish with crickets.
Yeah, eat the bugs, live in the pods. You will own nothing, and will be happy. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
all. That's what this Orwellian ridiculous utopia that they're trying to go for.
Yeah, Mary, I'm with you.
But
No bugs.
yeah, bugs are great for your livestock. I mean, chickens love them, and it's great nutrients for them,
Great
and that's what
protein
they'll be going after them
yeah.
outside anyway. So
Yeah.
it's wonderful. But yeah, I'm
No-
fine with my
no
chickens eating
cricket
them. I'm not
burgers
eating
for
them.
us.
Yeah. So anyway, so the fact that they're gearing that up here seems odd to me. So now they said that it's for animal and human consumption. So maybe they're thinking that this will be help with some of the food shortages for poultry. I don't know, but does seem odd. I'm not sure what do you feed crickets when you're raising crickets?
I don't know what's
on a
cricket food.
Who runs a cricket farm? I
What
want to
do
know
you need to-
what do you feed? I know when I had bearded dragons when I was a kid, we always fed them potatoes. You'd cut potatoes in half and quarter them and stick them in there for the crickets to live for a month while you fed out your lizard. But anyways, yeah. So anybody that runs a cricket farm, I'm curious what their feed is, because that's really the big question. I guess maybe grass clippings. I don't know. Okay, so let's see. Power grid and fuel shortages. Okay, so this is the last thing that we're going to talk about. The power grid. Wait, knew you had to be from Idaho. CUNA here. Oh, thanks for your channel, man. Yeah. So I grew up in Weezer, so we used to play y'all in football. So you and then Roxanne's from Nampa. So yeah, no, it's always fun to see people from back home. So.
Bobby said that kids like to put make honey barbecue out of the crickets.
Yeah, no, I remember my dad. So he one time had a patient that brought him a teriyaki cricket, and it was on like a little skewer. And I remember like my brother and I eating that when we were kids to try it. And it was kind of gross,
crunchy.
But it tasted mostly like just teriyaki sauce. So but yeah.
Okay, as a side maybe, but definitely not as a.
Oh, I'm not your kind. Thanks, man. He just sent us a super chat.
You.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Those help a lot. Oh, New Plymouth, Idaho. My gosh, y'all all around where I grew up at. Yeah, that's funny.
That's cool.
A lot of Idaho people. That's just, I don't know. It's just fun to see. I've been back to Idaho since 2010. I think the last time I went there. Okay, so the power grid. So here's what. Yeah, thanks, Michael. So the power grid. I had a conversation with my neighbor the other day. My neighbor actually works for Alabama Power, and so he was talking with us about it. And he doesn't actually think the power grid here is going to have a big issue. And what he was explaining to me is, he said, they're pretty good about letting them know when they think that there's big issues coming with the power grid. And he said there's nobody letting him know that. And he said maybe you'll see it in the cities, but probably out in the countryside they won't see much shortage. And kind of what I told him, I said, well, one of the issues is that if the cities are going down and they're using up the spare parts for that, then they're prioritized, right? So obviously the 5 million people living in the city center are prioritized over the 50,000 people living in the county around. The hospitals get the priority. The farmers just have to figure it out. Thanks for joining us, Pete. So he doesn't think it's going to be that big of an issue, but he did think that there's probably some reasonable expectation of power outages.
They're happening in Indiana right now.
Yeah, we just saw one in Knoxville. So,
yeah.
Anyways, that was just his kind of anecdotal opinion on it. But the one thing he did mention to me is he said, one of the issues that Alabama Power is having is fuel shortages. With the fuel issues and the fuel prices and the shortages, they're not able to run their trucks as much. So he said they're getting told that they might be sending people home and putting them on a rotating schedule, I guess, where some people are going to be off, and they're not laying them off. He said they'll be basically paid leave to be on call for issues. But
interesting.
Basically, if it's not essential, then they're going to just start sending them home.
I know some of the police departments are having fuel shortages.
Missy Wheeler, thanks, Missy. Good to see you. So, okay, so. But anyway, so the power grid, basically what I'm saying is that we're hearing kind of conflicting information, because I really do trust his opinion. I think he's he's like us, right? So and he's a good trustworthy person, and he's really kind of in the know. He's I don't know how locally anyway. So but I do think that the proof is in the pudding right now with power shortages. We're seeing them across the country. We're seeing areas. So I think it's going to be a little bit subjective on what areas are hit worse than others. But definitely making sure that you guys have, if you can afford it, a solar generator is great. Backup power, though, a gasoline generator is a necessity. Gasoline's not just going to stop flowing, because everything is the lifeblood of every economy. So that's just not going to stop. But it may be harder to get. So definitely a solar generator is a better option. They're also a lot more expensive.
Yeah. It's on our bucket list of things to buy.
Yeah, Mary said that she thinks they're going to add more ethanol to the fuel, up to 50%. I think they already did, and because somebody had posted. Actually, I actually printed this off because I wanted to share it with you guys, but it was, let me see.
His gas mileage went way
So
down.
somebody had posted. I don't know who this guy is, but he was asking the question. He said, for people in Illinois, he said, is anybody noticing that their gas mileage is going down while fuel is getting more expensive? And he said he went from an average of 26 to 27 to an average of 21 and a half, and that was over
miles
3 tanks. Yeah, 21 and a half miles per gallon over 3 tanks. That's the only thing that logically makes sense to me is that's due to the ethanol increase. And I'm not sure if going from 10 to 15% made that much of a difference. I'm thinking maybe we got more. And
they've officially authorized 15%, I thought.
Yeah,
Biden did.
Yeah, I know he authorized 15%, but it just seems odd to me that we added a 5% increase on the ethanol, and he's losing that much miles per gallon. That seems a little odd to me. But anyways, so realize that the ethanol doesn't burn as well, so you're going to lose some miles per gallon, especially if you're towing. You're going to really tank. So hopefully if you're towing, you got a diesel. But if you don't have a diesel and you're towing with like a little F-150 or something, your gas mileage is really going to plummet towing with that 15% ethanol. You will notice some performance differences in there, and so it'd be worth looking around for gas stations that don't have ethanol and doing the math out, because he lost 5 miles to the gallon. I don't know what the ethanol free versus the ethanol gas is, but it'd be worth at least doing the math out to see if it's worth paying for the ethanol gas.
Is there any other maintenance that we should be doing on our vehicles if we're having the increased ethanol?
If they're older vehicles, you have problems with it because the ethanol is more corrosive in the fuel lines, and so you have issues with that. And then the computers can't always adjust to it, so you might have a computer issue that's where the vehicle is actually not operating near as well. Modern vehicles, it doesn't really. There's nothing else to do because the fuel systems are built for it. The computers are designed to take it. So I think it's, somebody correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I think it's 2002 is kind of the cutoff year for that. If they're older than that, you're going to start having more and more problems. Good things is the older engines are a little bit more robust, and so they generally can be tuned and set up a little bit better. But But anyways, yeah. So
Okay.
you'll probably end up having to look at doing some upgrades to your fuel lines as it gets corrosive. But certainly, most of that, yeah, I think you can probably wait till you have a problem with it. I don't think anything necessarily
Okay.
preemptively needs to be done. Unless you just have the money and you're ready to do it. But there's nothing like it's not going to destroy an engine or something like
Okay.
that, at least overnight. Um,
Oh yeah, someone was talking about the shortage of corn. Um,
Ben Sherman needs a shout out. Hey Ben,
Where's
thanks
Ben?
for
Oh, there we go. Hey Ben, you get 2
thanks.
shout outs.
Yeah, greetings from West Virginia. Thanks for joining us, Ben.
Yes.
Are we going to have a shortage of corn too? Yeah, so that's the other thing on that, Mary.
And Hunter 30290.
Hang on. Yeah, I'm having trouble keeping up with all the comments coming in. So yeah, guys, Missy just reminded me, please hit the like button if y'all have not done so. That really helps the algorithm out and sends this out to everybody. But so you're absolutely right, Marie. So because we use the corn is grown for basically 3 purposes, right? So it's grown for ethanol, animal feed, and human consumption. So sweet corn is a very small percentage of it. The animal feed that is what's it called, dent corn, if I remember right, where it's the animal feed and it's used in making cornmeal and stuff like that. So it ends up being the same. I don't know much about the ethanol production, so I don't know if that's the same kind of type of corn, but I believe that it is. Don't quote me on that. If there's somebody that's familiar with corn farming, that's one of the things. I've never worked on a corn farm before, so I can't expressly state that. But but anyway, so those are basically the 3 things that it's used for. And so you're now not only are we increasing the ethanol requirements and the amount of equipment to be used for ethanol, we're having a decrease in nitrogen, which corn is really, really heavy on fertilizer. Corn has to have that fertilizer to grow. And then now we haven't changed the requirements for the animal feed and the human consumption portion of it. So there's a decrease in the supply of it, and there's an increase in the demand because of that 15% ethanol. So that is certainly not going to be the end all be all in fixing gas prices. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, no. Yeah, happy Father's Day.
Let me try to catch up on the comments here.
Oh, Helen bought the biggest battery the UPS guy could carry. Good job.
Pete's got an F2 or 350. Oh, DEF. Yeah, that's the other thing. So DEF, we've got more shortage coming on the DEF. Man, an F350, 12 to 14 miles per gallon highway, 12 to 14 per gallon average, 16 to 17 highway, 9 towing.
12 to 15.
Wow. So, Pete, we have an older Dodge Ram, and ours is a 3500 dualies, and actually we get 21 miles to the gallon on ours highway, and ours is before all the emissions crap came in there. So it's just to kind of give you a reference. The 5.9s were notoriously a little bit better on fuel mileage than other engines. The 5.9 Cummins did really well. Some of those years got really good fuel mileage, like the old 94s, the old 12 valve 94 models got really, really good fuel mileage. You'd see upwards of 24 on the highway, but anyway, so. But the newer diesels, I think they're just burning so much more because of all the emissions stuff on there.
Crap, yeah.
But hopefully you can get that deleted and get that DEF off there. But that's going to become more of a problem going forward too. DEF is, if y'all have not heard, so Union Pacific Railroad is the one that has the contract. They have to transport all the DEF fluid basically. And so Union Pacific told Flying J that they have to decrease their consumption of it by 25%. Which is pretty massive, and Flying J provides a large. I don't remember. I read all the numbers, but I don't remember all the statistics off the top of my head. But Flying J provides a massive amount of truckers with their DEF fluid, and so and that's the majority of them. They basically said there's no way we can do that, and Union Pacific said tough, deal with it. So the DEF is going to continue to be a problem, and it's going to be a problem more for private owners like you rather than truckers. For truckers, it'll have to be figured out on some level, whether they do exemptions or whether the government subsidizes it. The DEF fluid is going to have to end up being figured out at least to a certain extent. But I just don't see the government saying, hey, we're going to take this emissions requirement away, not with the current administration. So, Oh, Ben Sherman.
Ben.
Listening while cutting the lawn, man. That's dedication. I
Great job.
appreciate you watching.
You need to cut ours too. Come on
Yeah.
by.
Yeah, don't mention anything about the deleting the truck on the online, Pete. That's one of those things you keep that hush hush. But yeah, look at deleting it. I know that's I would certainly be interested in what the capabilities are there. But oh, that's right, Pete. You're in California.
Oh, California. We're in the communist state.
So Flying J and Pilot truck stops are stocking up in the TV room with DEF boxes. You know, the other problem with DEF is that it can't be stored, which is what creates it. It has a shelf life of about 6 months, which I don't, for the life of me, understand why. It seems like they could just make some variants, and I guess the urea breaks down over time. But okay, somebody, Hunter said, can you suggest a gasoline truck to be on the lookout for? Should someone be selling a used truck, for example? You know, trucks are so, it depends on your pocketbook. You know, Toyotas are notoriously the most reliable, and they've earned that reputation. You know, statistics are showing that. I like an F-150. I still think an F-150 is a great bang for the buck. The eco diesels, the Dodge eco diesels, as much as I don't think Dodge builds a very good transmission, the Dodge eco diesels are supposed to be very reliable trucks. They had some problems when they first came out. Actually had some pretty major problems. They were just lighting on fire. Their emission system was lighting on fire. But they had some pretty big recalls over that. But so those ones are supposed to be really nice. GMCs do make good trucks. My Silverado is one of the better trucks I've ever owned as far as comfort. You know, as a general rule, if you pick quality models, I don't think you can go wrong. You know, every brand has quality models. I'm not brand loyal to any vehicles anymore. Every brand has good ones and bad ones out there. And there's certain vehicles that are just garbage, certain vehicle models that are just garbage. You know, the Ford Rangers, the old Ford Rangers are great, but there was a few engines that they made that were garbage. The 5.9 Cummins is one of the best engines ever made for diesel trucks, but they had the 53 block that had where the block would just crack. So even ones like that, you know, they have their issues. So you just got to do your research on the individual truck. But I like an F-150. To me, an F-150 is one of the best bangs for the buck as far as
it's probably what I'm going to get eventually when we buy another truck. That's what I want.
So Ben asked, I've been hearing that an 18-wheeler tire is $1,000. Is that true? That sounds pretty high to me. I would be surprised if that was true. I don't drive an 18-wheeler, so if Truck Boy's on, maybe I think he did a over-the-road trucker. He can probably talk about that. But anyway, so you know, we just put new tires on some of our company vehicles, and they weren't any more expensive really than they were pre-pandemic levels. They were about the same, maybe 10% more, but it was a pretty minimal amount. Yeah, the 18-wheelers, I don't know.
Weren't our truck tires discontinued, or so he was able to find them? They were just where his source was just trying to get rid of them.
No, he just got us a good deal on them.
Okay.
Yeah, he was able to find us a good deal on our truck tires, but that's not the only tires we replaced. Okay. And we still priced them with other tires. So, but there wasn't a huge markup on the tire. But we haven't bought tires in 6 months, so something may have changed. But anyways, yeah, I haven't heard anything about 18-wheeler tires being up over $1,000. And they're using the same tires as like what's on our big trailer. So again, I'd be very surprised with that. The biggest hit that the truckers are taking is at the pumps. They're getting just shellacked at the pumps. Let's see. So Pete said his main deal, they wanted a reliable towing truck, getting rid of the 01 and 05 GMs. Yeah. There's certainly been some trucks that I wish I hadn't gotten rid of and wish I hadn't sold. So I definitely understand that. You know, getting rid of older trucks. My old 5.7 Hemi was a wonderful truck. I wish I'd never sold that one. And our truck we'll probably never get rid of. But it's. I mean, as far as trucks go, guys, find something that's reliable and a good model. Is what you need to be looking at right now. So, and just wait unless you need one right now. Wait, because the prices I think are going to keep coming down. We're already seeing them come down.
Quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, I found some really nice deals the other day. Just keeping my eyes on Craigslist or on Facebook Marketplace. So, some really, really good deals online. So if y'all just keep your eyes open, you'll find them. They're definitely out there. Hang on. Let's catch up on comments real quick.
Roxanne was saying, use kindness.
Oh man, Hunter. Yeah, I keep my eyes out on this. Hunter said, I missed my 1995 F-150 as a 4.9 inline 6 manual transmission. I keep my eyes open for those all the time because I
Yeah.
ran across one the other day and I so wanted to buy it because the 4.9 inline six is one of the most reliable engines that Ford ever made. It's a great engine, and then when you can get them in a manual
Manual.
transmission,
Mhm.
those are just those are rock solid vehicles. Yeah, I understand. I mean, I'm sure you regret selling that one. I see them pop up on Facebook periodically, and every time I see them, especially with low mileage, I'm like just salivating over going and getting it. I don't need another truck right now, but I would like one. I would like to have one of those to drive around all day. Wish I knew what the gas mileage was on it. Maybe then I could justify it. You know, if we got a lot better miles to the gallon for the business, it'd be a
That would be
justifiable
it'd be
truck.
my truck.
Yeah, dream
Yeah,
one.
yeah. No, you already have a truck.
You
I
get
don't
the
have a
Highlander.
car. No, it's a work car.
You get the lawnmower.
I get the lawnmower that
Okay,
doesn't work.
so I think that about wraps us up. That was everything that we want to talk to
Yeah.
y'all about. Shoot, 1 3. Hang on, let me see. Met a guy in a parts store that shoot won 3 times with a 45 still ran. Oh gosh, yeah. Well, that was like okay. So when when Obama did his 18 to 22 gallons miles per gallon.
Oh,
That's
not
pretty
bad.
good.
Yeah.
So when Cash for Clunkers came out, if you guys remember, people were like trying to intentionally like destroy their cars so they could cash it in and get what was it, $5,000 that Obama was giving for it, something like that,
I don't
ridiculous
remember.
payoffs. But people were doing that with the Ford Rangers. They would take the Ford Rangers and they put that colloquial aluminum and stuff and they put it in the gas tanks trying to clog them up. And the Rangers just would spit it right through it and just make it smoke like crazy, but they'd run it. It was pretty funny, but they couldn't kill them.
That's
uh,
fun.
yeah, Pete, there are bigger concerns than the death fluid. To me, the death fluid is kind of a straw on the camel's back. But I mean, don't get rid of a truck that has death fluid just because it has death fluid.
Yeah, no payment
You know,
is
yeah.
best.
So the death fluid is an irritating thing that you have to deal with, but I'm with you, man. It's not that big a deal. It's something that we can live with. Um, let's see. Could be a flood of vehicles when if chips become available. Might get good deals. Yeah,
Mhm.
I think you're about to see some really good deals
Mhm.
hitting the market. Like I said, we've already seen truck prices coming down, and
When
pretty drastic.
Economic Ninja talks about saving your cash right now so that when everything kind of collapses, you'll have money and have good credit
Yeah.
so that you can find these good deals.
Yeah, so these deals are going to pop up, and especially on toys. I think on things that are a little bit more of a necessity. I think people are going to be really hesitant to get rid of like an old F-150 or their old 3500 diesel or whatever. What's gonna happen is people are going to have to get rid of things that they have loans on. So things like that F-250 that he bought to drive to the mall. Right, we all know who I'm talking about when you see people like that, and and that's cool. I actually have no hate on them. I like trucks too, so I'm all about it. But anyway, so the fact is that people that borrow $60,000 that just don't have the income that justifies that. That's a problem, and you're going to see a lot more of those trucks on the market, and you're going to see toys on the market. Things like boats and motorcycles, I think, are about to get really cheap, and because those are things that people can deal with that really quick. Boats, motorcycles, campers, four wheelers, stuff like that. Four wheelers, maybe not quite so much because they're already so cheap. Even when things went crazy, four wheelers were always pretty cheap to come by. The side by sides are more expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Pete says use way left depth when not towing. That's one thing to keep in mind. That's true. Somebody, one of the guys, I think it was Truck Boy actually. He had said what his depth fluid requirements were when he's actually towing with an 18-wheeler, and they use a ton of depth fluid. But yeah, you use a lot more depth when you're towing and going at pushing that engine a little bit more. But anyway, so we'll let y'all go. We really appreciate y'all watching. Happy Father's Day to everybody out there. Thank you for liking, subscribing to the channel, guys. That helps us out a ton. But if y'all, like I said, if y'all have any questions, anything you want to talk about, send us an email, ironsideranchllc@gmail.com. We do stay up on that one. We have got some really cool stuff coming for you guys here in the future. Yeah, Hunter, I do think motorcycles will come on sale. Not necessarily because, for one, not everybody can drive a motorcycle, so the better gas mileage is not going to be part of that equation necessarily. Because, yeah, I mean, my bike gets 40 miles to the gallon, but they're
I can't drive it.
Mail-in can't drive it. A lot of people can't drive it, and you know, a lot of people can't drive a stick, much less a motorcycle. But anyways, and it, it's hard to make a Costco run on a motorcycle ride. So,
Yeah.
so I think motorcycles still are going to be a toy. I think that they'll go down, even though they get good gas mileage. If people are really concerned about gas mileage, they can buy a scooter, and you can buy a scooter from Amazon. You can mail order a scooter to you that you put it together. No, I'm serious. A buddy of mine just did this. Judd, our machinist, and Judd's like 300 pounds. Like, he's a big old boy, and he rides around on this little baby blue scooter that he just ordered off of Amazon and put it together. I mean, he has his regular motorcycle too, but he drives this little scooter that gets like 60 miles per gallon. I mean, I swear, I haven't seen him drive it. I've just seen pictures of him. But I'm like, it kind of looks like that on Dumb and Dumber when they're riding a little scooter up to. So,
Do you
anyways,
need a
yeah,
license to drive that? A special one?
you have to have a motorcycle
Okay,
license,
for a
yeah.
scooter.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Anything on 2 wheels or 3 wheels, you have to have it.
Okay.
You have to get a motorcycle endorsement for. There's different motorcycles. So if you have one of the little 3-wheeler ones, you have to you can, and you take your test in that. You can only drive that. You can't drive a motorcycle,
Okay.
so you can't go down to the 2 wheels.
Okay.
But if you get a motorcycle endorsement, you can drive any of them.
Okay.
Let's see. 93G 4.0 gets awesome mileage. Yeah, the old vehicles, guys, if they're maintained, they'll get good gas mileage. So, hey, really appreciate y'all watching. Thank you so much for joining us. We will be back here live chat every Sunday at 1 p.m. Other than that, we got videos coming out every morning at 6:30, and pretty much 6 days a week now, right? The only day we're not doing it is Sunday, where we do our live chat. So, but we will have more content out to you guys. We've got a lot of fun things coming. We've got the well going in that we've talked about, so that we're putting the video together right now. That takes some time. Keeping you guys up to date with everything that we're doing here on the farm. We're actually building a new pantry here on the farm, so we'll be going over some of that with you. Hopefully, we can get our root cellar in this year, and we can show you guys what a root cellar and how we built that. But then we also, if you guys have not seen Goshen Prepping, have got over to their channel. Looks like we're going to be able to do a joint video with them. And then I think I am meeting On Site Trav tonight to do another one.
Fun stuff.
So thanks a lot, guys. Really appreciate y'all watching. Have a great Father's Day, and we will talk to y'all later.